Here at event. We're at the SMX Convention Center, and I'm excited to be taking over. Share with you one of here in the Philippines, and have my first guest jump in on the couch. My name is Ian Utile, and looking forward to bringing some interviews with some. I love this country. I love this culture. It'll be awesome to be able to bring some of that to all of you. I'm going to put the video and then down with my first guest and share a conversation.
The future of Web3 and AI is unfolding before us. Communities, education, business, government, media, and art are undergoing a metamorphosis that will redefine our world. Now is the time. Make the leap.
Collaborating and sharing ideas and thoughts with each other throughout the day.
Technology advances like 100 miles a minute. I'm super excited to learn from everyone here today.
We don't want to be the target, and we don't want to be the product. We want to be the owner of our digital information. We want to be the owner of our digital lives, because our lives are no longer just physical, they are digital and physical. Change the narrative on how we've been teaching for all these years and look back on how we used to teach and, challenge our students with, hey, coming with the right knowledge to you. AI has democratized, basically, at this point, knowledge, like we said earlier. It's giving you the ability to know what I know, giving you the ability to even question what I know.
All of us have had to learn cryptography. We've had to learn how to download an OKX wallet. We've had to learn how to buy and sell crypto, learn how to buy and sell NFTs. We've had to learn the process of what a smart contract does.
Wow, we did it. Web3 AI, wasn't that quick? It came, and it's so fast, right? But didn't you feel like you belonged? If you're here with us, you should feel like your voice matters. Like you're amongst people that want to hear what you have to say. They want to hear your questions. They want to hear your thoughts and your insights. We got to hear from way over 100 people today, right? We didn't have a stage with speakers and panelists. Instead, we had a Congress-style conversation for all of us to learn from one another. It was my joy to gather us together, and it is an honor to bring this event to you. And if you're watching this video later, don't miss the next Web3 AI event. We hope to have you join us the next time we gather in this type of capacity.
You gotta get up.
10 seconds.
Hello, everybody. Oh, where you going?
We started talking.
I know the internet wants more of you.
Yeah.
No, that was enough. They got everything they need.
Really?
You
That
get,
was it?
you're out of
Clean up the sand,
here.
that's all okay.
Make like a tree and no, leave.
Oh, sorry. First name, last name, phone number, email, phantom face.
That's right. That we can give them all free tokens. Internet, we're giving away tokens. We're giving away CIK on base and Kiki on the Solana chain. So I guess you did not say Phantom, you say Solana.
I just published it.
So sad.
Dude, you are so fired.
You can't fire me, bro. I'm the firer.
Okay, you said no phantom. You wanted what?
We're live. Get out of here.
You wanted me to change what to what?
Solana. Okay, I'm going to bring in my first guest. I'm hoping that my producer thinks that was funny. But hey, we're just getting started. And let me turn on my mic for my friend. And I'm going to bring somebody in that I'm really looking forward to having all of you here. George, I'm ready for you when you are. You'll be right here, my. For those that are just tuning in, you can sit right here next to me. This is your microphone. And then you have those because we have so many cameras.
Okay.
There you go. All right, we'll just talk to each other.
Okay.
So, internet, welcome to our conversation. We're
Hello.
going to now talk to each other. So here we are. We're at Philippine Blockchain Week.
Right.
This is the 7th event. So how many of the PBW events had you been a part of?
This is my second event.
So you came to the one in Manila last year or the one that was in
I
2023?
think
was
last
in the
bull
Marriott.
market, most likely. It was the last bull market.
Okay.
I don't really go to events unless
Unless it's a bull market.
Unless it's a bull market and I have somebody that I know and I like to talk to. That's it.
Tell me a bit about community. So you have your own CFT community.
Yes.
You're part of communities. So tell me about the importance, or maybe for you, not so important, in terms of community. Like, how is community important to you? You need community. How is community important to you in terms of you build community? Give me some insight on community as a trader.
Community is important because you need to have a support group. So that's number one. And it depends on the community, because
Right.
if you're in a toxic community, then you're going to be like them as well.
Right.
So it's important that you be very selective
Yeah.
to the people that you want to be associated with. So if you hang out, there's this saying that if you hang out with 5 millionaires and you're not yet a millionaire, you're going to be the 6th one.
Right.
So what does that mean, right? It means getting understanding of how they think,
Yes.
how they operate, their lifestyle, the disciplines that I have every day in their life.
Right.
And so what's important is you catch that
Yeah.
kind of culture. And community is important because if you're starting in this space and you don't know where to go, you don't know the direction where you're going to, you need to have at least a direction first and then start there.
Yeah.
You need to have people that are there with you, because the market is always going to punch you in the face.
Right.
And you need someone to tell you, hey, you know what? It's okay. This happens.
Yes.
This is normal. Because if nobody tells you that, then you have to deal with certain psychological things that, hey, you know what? Is this normal? All these internalization, you get to cut the learning curve,
Yeah.
I guess. And it feels a lot better if you see somebody else like
It's
go
going through what you're going through.
Yeah, going through.
And
what
also
you're going
sharing victory is also
through. Yes.
good as
Yes,
well.
exactly. Because of
Right.
course you need hope. You need to see like, okay, where am I going at this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, if I'm gonna be good as you, what's going to be my end result?
Yeah.
And you'll always see that with the people that have gone before you.
Yes. There's two ways to respond to people's success. You can respond with like, why not me? Or I'm next.
Yes.
How have you cultivated a I'm next attitude for yourself? And how have you cultivated a I'm next attitude for those that are part of your community that you're trying to lead? So when they see somebody in your community have great success, including yourself, that they don't feel jealous, they don't feel why not me and become discouraged, but they feel inspired. And they walk into the next moment saying, like, I'm next. If it can be for them, it can be for me. How do you help to create that kind of energy?
That's a question, because nowadays, especially if you're in the money markets, people tend to just show their P&L. After a trade, they just show, hey, I made this much amount of money. And, they probably would put in some good quotes. That's, that's good in itself. It really depends on how other people would interpret the post as well.
Right.
But of course, you can't also really judge a person's internal motives. And so, how we do it in ZFT is we post the results, and inside we tell them this is the process that we go through in order for us to be able to reach that
Right.
outcome.
Right.
And we say, hey, you know what? We don't come from any background. Like for me, I don't have a finance background, and I'm in the money markets, right?
Right.
I trade.
Right.
My background is HRM, hotel restaurant management.
Okay.
It's very far from that. And so I tell people, if me, who's not really that good when it comes to numbers, can do trades like this.
Right.
I mean, I also do losing trades.
Yeah.
But if I am able to produce this result with this kind of process, then if you follow this process, if you follow the disciplines necessary for you to be able to, just do what you're doing day in, day out, by the end of the month, end of the year, hopefully you'll get the same result.
Right.
So it's always about process. So you always tell them, you know what, this is it.
Yeah.
But you also tell them these are the risks.
Yeah.
At least that's for us. We always tell people the risks, not just how much you can earn, because it's different when you just tell the good things and then without letting people know that, hey, you know what, if you lose, this is also the potential outcome.
Yes. When it comes to awards, trophies, acknowledgement, there's three things that happen, right? There's the ones that you give yourself. I am the best community builder. I am the best father. I am the best daughter. I am the best athlete. Those are awards that you basically say, I see myself this way. This is my identity. That's one category. There's another category where people give you an award that's not really based on data and numbers. It's not definitive. It's not scientific. It's more emotional. Maybe you have to qualify, but it's still emotional. So like at our last big Web3 AI event, the President of the United States gave me and two other people an award at that event. It was the President's Award for Lifetime Achievement. You had to volunteer 4,000 hours for nonprofits. And then it was subjective. They chose the three of us. So like that's an award that's like, we had to qualify, but it's not based on data. It's just like an award.
Yeah.
Then there's the final award, and that's based on data. It's scientific. You have won a couple of scientific data awards, right? Most followed wallet, most copied wallet. For you, how do you view being given acknowledgement publicly based on science and data? And how does that play in differently than people in your community just being like, you're the best, George. You're the greatest. Or your wife saying, you're such a good husband. Or your kids saying, we love you, Daddy. Like, how is the scientific acknowledgement different than just emotional relationship acknowledgement?
It's always good to, one of the goals that I had before was, it was a top goal that I had, I think 4 or 5 years ago. I wrote down, I'd like to be a person that I myself would respect. And that means I know who I am. I know my weaknesses. I know if I'm bullshitting myself, and if I can respect myself, or if I am a man to be respected by myself or by my wife and family, because they see all the things that I do in private, then that means I've done a good job. Because you want to be a person who has substance first before people would say, hey, this is the form that you have.
Yeah.
Form without substance is empty.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'd be happy personally if I get an award, but I don't feel internally that I deserve it.
Right.
And so the award is just a byproduct of the systems that we apply in our lives.
Yeah.
So how I look at it from my perspective and from the market's perspective is very important that you said identity earlier, because identity usually shapes how you act in certain ways. I believe when it comes to identity, I'm doing my best to be a follower of Christ. And so what does that mean? If I am a child of God, these are the attributes that you must exercise.
Yeah.
And so then I would operate in a certain way.
Right.
And the awards that would come because of that would just be a byproduct of me following that discipline and path.
Yes. You talk a lot about your faith.
Yeah.
On social media. And when I was introduced to you as like, hey, I really want you to meet George. He's a Christian man. He really prioritizes faith. And this person was saying, I've actually leaned into my faith because of being part of his community. Has that been a gradual process? And what's been your experience where you're in financial markets, you're in business to make money through trading, you're in business that there's revenue generated through your community building and training, and then you also are adding this dynamic that's a different level, right? It's like, it's not just all business as usual. There's a whole other dynamic, a spiritual dynamic.
Yes.
Of being inspired by what our ancestors have been following for millennia, right? These faith paradigms, these paradigms of giving and diligence and faithfulness, and having those types of attributes lead into what would be considered as having a blessed outcome. So tell me a bit about your journey in that regard.
Wow, that's a very packed question. I hope we have time for this.
Take all the time you need.
First of all, I'd like to say that I'm a work in progress, right? Perfection, we always say I'm not perfect, or people are not perfect, so it's okay. But in the Bible, it says, be perfect, for your Father in heaven is perfect.
Right.
And so I think of it as, the more that you understand your identity, because sometimes we do things just because, our parents did things, or because religion tells you to do things.
Right.
That's completely different, as opposed to, having to follow Christ, knowing him, understanding what hurts him, what are the things that he is pleased of when we do things, or, but just going deep into understanding my faith, because I believe that faith is personal.
Yeah.
There are times that I fail on certain areas. Actually, it's a lot of times that I fail when I base on.
There's a few times I haven't failed.
Yeah. And so what just gives me comfort is that in the Bible, it says that God loves you, and nothing can take you away from that love.
Yeah.
It's us who usually decides
Yeah.
to go away from God's presence, God's love. And so to me, piecing all things together and having to experience life on my own terms and falling down many times,
Right.
I just came to a point where I just said, you know what? Like, I've tried the world. Let me just go all in here, because I'm already tired by doing things on my own. You're right, God.
Yeah.
Your yoke is easier than that of the world. And so here I am. I'm still practicing my faith. There are times that I'm still rediscovering things, or I'm trying to understand, what does this really mean? And the more that I get into it, the more that I understand the principles of God, the more that I'm actually feeling feel a lot more success than my previous life.
You mentioned his yoke is light. So for those that may not be a student of theology,
Yeah. Okay.
so let me just lay the story out, because
Yes.
it's an interesting story.
Yes.
And I'd like to mention to you that Jesus only described himself one time, right before he said this. He gave himself two attributes, and I want to ask how that plays into you being a work in progress. So for those that may not know the story, he's walking with his followers, and some people are basically implying, like, show us a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, show us a miracle. And he gets kind of upset, and he responds and says, if Sodom and Gomorrah saw a fraction of what you've already seen me do, they would have repented of the way they treated people, which was they were unhospitable. That was their great fall, to the extent they wanted to rape their visitors. It's very unhospitable, rape your visitors. He said, if Sodom and Gomorrah saw what you've seen, they all would have turned to what Jesus called Daddy. Jesus called God Daddy, or Abba, this benevolent Father. So he kind of like rebukes them. Then immediately he starts praying, like, God, thank you. And he thanks him for a bunch of things and acknowledges a bunch of things. And then he turns to his followers, which is just so weird the way that we imagine him operating. This new TV show, Chosen, I think brings a lot of humanity to this character that we know as Jesus of Nazareth. Turns to his followers and he says, come to me, everyone that is burdened. Come next to me and take my yoke upon you, because my burden is light. And what he's implying is, you and me together, I will put a yoke. I will put, like, at that time, oxen would basically come side by side.
Yes.
And maybe you'd have an old male bull and then a little baby girl. And the bull basically took like 90% of the weight.
Yes.
And the little baby took 10%. Or there's like this poem, the Footprints poem, right? Where there's a person that sees their life and they walk with Jesus on the sand. But their hardest moments is just one set of footprints.
Yes.
And then at the end of the dream, they go to Jesus like, thank you that you're always with me, but like when I need you most, where were you? And he goes, I was carrying you.
Yeah.
So back to the story, my yoke is light. He describes himself and he says, I am humble and I am meek. Or I am gentle and approachable. So however you want to use, whatever English word you want to use, he basically is saying, I'm a humble person. I'm a meek person. I'm a gentle person. I'm an approachable person. And he never described himself one other time in all of the known Gospels, as far as I know. And so, my father's a very, very passionate follower of Jesus. And so my whole life, I grew up hearing my dad talk about, Ian, Jesus only described himself one time. He was humble. Be humble. He was meek. Don't bring attention to yourself. He was gentle. Don't be aggressive. Like, think about how he made himself. It doesn't mean he wasn't aggressive sometimes. Doesn't mean he wasn't confident.
Yes.
It doesn't mean he wasn't a leader. But when he described himself, the way that Jesus of Nazareth saw his own identity was a humble, meek, gentle, and approachable person. With that being in mind, and you talking about carrying his yoke, and you talking about being a work in progress, how has the contrast between wanting to be this super successful man that people look up to, they want to be in your community, super successful to your wife, respect you, you bring stability, successful because you feel like you're winning in business and you want to like just do great.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, that's right. There's something about humility, meekness, and gentleness and approachableness. How are you as a businessman and a man of faith that's in process going through that unique pursuit?
I think those characteristics simply have to, as followers of Christ, embody it. And at the same time, we are created in the image of God. And so we need to represent a God who is amazing and awesome and wealthy and successful. Then how should that translate to us living our lives? And that means we need to be excellent because God is excellent. It would be a great disservice when God put a lot of gifts in your life and you're not using it.
Yes.
It's like, here's a great toy, or here's a car, whatever car it is. It could be a Lambo or it could be a Toyota. It's a car. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Why aren't you using it? Like, I give this to you. So whatever gifts that we have, we need to make sure that we are good stewards of it and that we use it for the glory of God.
Yeah.
So that's me trying to be, like being passionate about it, and at the same time, I know that I will fail, but I know that because my relationship with God he tells that he's a father.
Yeah.
Then, you're a father.
Right.
I'm also a father, and our sons might not be the best at times, but we always give them grace to be able to do, because
Right.
we love them.
Yes.
It's an unconditional love because they're our son.
Hmm. Can I ask you a couple more questions?
Yeah, sure.
Are you enjoying this?
Yeah.
These are new
Good.
questions.
Yeah,
These are brand new, fresh questions I've never asked anybody.
in a Philippine blockchain week. Yeah, normally we talk about
It
crypto.
actually matters because the biggest problem with this industry
Yes.
is there's way too much conversation about features and not enough about benefits.
All right.
There's way too much conversation around the products we're trying to promote, the services we're trying to get sold, and not enough about the philosophy, and reason for why we do what we do.
Right.
Because if people don't have a reason to decentralize, it's too painful. If people don't have a reason involved and own their own keys, have their own wallets, then why not just go trade on the public market?
Yeah.
So that's one reason why I take conversations these different directions. I want to ask you about. So this would be kind of a little bit of an interesting question. I've already kind of gone there with you.
Sure.
Nobody knows what heaven's like,
Okay.
right? We haven't been there. We don't know. We have faiths that they tell us. Birthday, they on display